All right, instead of going onto the notes page, we're going to actually get out your unit circle. So if you picked up a packet from the school, they're on cardstock, they're heavier paper, they're tan. If not, you can just print one out. I gave you a blank unit circle. You can actually look online and find all kinds of unit circles that are filled. And we're going to fill it in together because I think it's a little bit easier to understand and to apply if we do that. But we're going to walk through exactly how to do it. So remember, and by the way, the unit circle, anything that you fill in on this paper, you're allowed to use on the quiz. So do go ahead and fill that in. It's going to help you on your homework, but it will also help you on the review and the quiz. All right. Normally, if you're here, we'd actually have a quiz on the unit circle too. I would make you memorize this. So there's some tricks. You would have to fill out this whole thing. And it looks kind of overwhelming, but I promise it's really not. So let's go through and show you what to do. Very first thing that I start with is labeling all of these nice, lovely, notice how you got all of these angles in degrees. We're actually going to write down the radian measure with them as well. So let's go ahead and do this. This that was 0 degrees is also 0 radians. And then the 360, I guess we'll put a slash there, is 2 pi radians right there. Okay, so 0 coordinates with 0, 2 pi coordinates with the 360. Now, you can either go through and just convert all of these lovely values to radians, or I think that it's easier just to kind of look at half this. So if I go half of 2 pi over here, I'm going to write 1 pi. And then I would cut that 180 degrees in half again and get up here to 90 and say this is pi over 2, or 1/2 times pi. Sorry, we're going to erase that right there. I could even cut that in half again and get pi fourths right here. Now, I'm going to just show you, here's what I do as well. I'm going to go around and just count by fourths of pi. So if you start right here, I've got 0. Here's pi fourths. Here's 2 pi fourths at 90 degrees. If I go another 45 degrees, I've got 3 pi fourths. And then 180 is your 4 pi fourths. Right here, I've got 5 pi fourths. Here, I've got 6 pi fourths. However, we're not going to write it as 6 pi fourths because they like it to be written in simplified form. 6 and 4 can both be divided by 2. So it's 3 pi halves right there. But that was 6 pi fourths, and so that makes this one 7 pi fourths. So I just kind of go around, and every 45 degrees, which is kind of just half of the 90, I'm going to add another pi fourths. All right, now the 30-degree angle, let's just do a conversion. I'm not going to even show you this, but I'm going to say it is pi sixths right there. It's just pi 6. So that means that when we come up here, this is 2 pi 6, that's 60 degrees. But they're going to simplify that to pi thirds. So 2 pi 6, 3 pi 6, which simplifies to this, 4 pi 6, which simplifies to 2 pi thirds. This is going to be 5 pi 6. And then our 180 is our 6 pi 6, or just pi. So 7 pi 6. This is 8 pi 6, which is 4 pi thirds. 9 pi 6, 10 pi, so 5 pi thirds, and 11 pi 6. Again, I'm not going to make you memorize those. No quiz on this one, but please note how to write them down. There is an activity on Canvas that you can go through and kind of match stuff up with, and that should help you get a little bit more familiar with this as well. All right, now for the points, you'll notice that there's a missing x and a y value for all of these lovely angles all the way around our unit circle. So remember, our unit circle means our radius is 1. So the measure from here, clear out here, is 1. So this point here is going to be 1, 0. And I go through and fill in all the easiest ones first. So I'm going to do this one is 0, 1. This is -1, 0. And this is 0, -1. So we've got an x and a y value for all of those big angles all the way around. Now, there is a trick, and I'm not even going to, let's see, what am I going to do? These, notice the 30, 45, and 60, these are all part of our special triangles, which we, special right triangles, which we learned about last unit. If we were to go through and basically make this a triangle right here, and set this equal to 1, we can find the other two sides of this. So if our 2x side was 1, our angle across from here is 1/2, and this was square root of 3 cut in half because of that. So there's a order to this, but I'm just going to tell you the trick. Here's the trick to know what to do right here. Basically, you're going to divide everything here by 2. I'm just going to divide all of them by 2. And then you're going to go in, and all I do going, I start with my y's for some reason, and I go 1, 2, 3. And then I go 1, 2, 3, going the other direction. And then the last thing you do is you just square root all of the top numbers. So the square root of 1 is still 1, so I'm going to leave that as 1/2, but I'm going to put a square root above the 2 and the 3. Square root of 1 again is just 1, but put a square root in top of the 2 and the 3. These are, I'm sorry, my pen is not very clear, but look on the answer key if you need to see more of those values. Now, when you notice one thing, if you can memorize just this quadrant, if you just memorize this lovely quadrant 1, you've actually got the whole unit circle memorized, because this is just another 30-degree triangle. If you were to look over here, these numbers are going to be the exact same. So you've got the square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. The only difference is now I'm going to the negative direction. My x's are negative, so you're going to put a negative in front of the x. Okay, so all these are going to have negative x values, but they're going to be the same as the angle that they line up with in quadrant 1. So I've got this negative square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, and then negative 1/2 matches with the square root of 3 over 2. All right, same thing for quadrant 3. Go ahead and just fill it in. Here's another one of our 30, 60, 90 triangles. So it's going to be the exact same values as our 30, 60, 90 triangle up there. You're just going to have, they're both going to be negative values now, because not only is our x coordinate, we're going to the left, but we're going down with our y's. So they're both going to be negative, negative and negative. I'm just going to fill that in again. And then you could do 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the last quadrant, again, they're going to be the exact same. Let's fill in the numbers first. So I've got 1/2, square root of 2 over 2, and square root of 3 over 2, and then 1/2, and square root of 3, sorry, that's a 2. Let's see, how do I fix that? Square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 3 over 2 right there. And then just look at the signs. Okay, notice our x coordinate, we're going to the right. So x is positive, but we're going down. So all of our y values are going to be negative right there. Okay, and that is your unit circle filled in. Again, I'm not going to give you a quiz. I know this is kind of a rush through it, and you're not even here to ask questions. But go ahead, just write those down. There is a pattern. I did just kind of want to show you that there's a pattern. Now, notice on our last page, this is going to be helpful to have. We have that the sine of theta is always equal to your y value, okay, in the unit circle, because our hypotenuse is 1. So remember, it's just our opposite over hypotenuse, which in this case is y. The cosine is always x, and the tangent is always y over x. So those are going to be really helpful and really important to know. Now remember, the cosecant is just your reciprocal. These values over here are just your reciprocal of the sine, the cosine, the tangent. So this y that was divided by 1, usually we just drop it if it's divided by 1, but the reciprocal, or the cosecant, is going to be 1 over y. The secant, same thing, it's going to be 1 over x. And the cotangent, when we do the reciprocal of y over x, it switches the x to the top over y. So those are very helpful. Now that you know all of these lovely x's and y values, you can actually quickly find the sine, cosecant, secant, cotangent, whatever you need. And then let's do one more thing. This is going to be in our next lesson, but I'm going to just tell it to you really quickly, and then we'll go over it more next lesson. But you're going to all want to remember this cute little saying that is, all students take calculus. Okay, so all students take calculus. Notice right here, we've got an A, an S, a T, and a C. Basically, that is saying in quadrant 1, all of your trig functions are positive. Okay, so we're going to just write positive on all of these, all of your trig functions. Okay, on quadrant 2, only the sign, the S, only the sign is positive. Everything else is negative. Okay, in quadrant 3, only the T, or only the tangent, is positive. All the others are negative. And in quadrant 4, only the cosine is positive. Sorry, that's a positive. That makes the sine and the tangent negative. That's our next lesson, so our next video, so watch for that one. But I just wanted to fill that out while you are on the unit circle page right there.